Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're going to be taking a look at r/relationships, where OP figured out that his marriage is toxic. Let's begin. My wife is 29 and I'm 35. She cheated, and I hid something big from her. Posted by Reddit user Salt Interaction 2654.
Let me preface that I am quite long-winded, so I apologize in advance. I am a fan of details, especially when it comes to something I take as seriously as this. My wife and I have been together for 4 years. We always got along like the best of friends. I was trying to find the right person for me for a long time and was very patient and picky and refused to settle for less than someone extremely compatible. It took until 30, but I found that. Easily the most compatible of anyone we have ever been with. We just seemed to have it all. We hit it off immediately and realized our humor is totally in line, our lifestyles, everything. Honestly, it seemed perfect, and we were very happy for maybe the first 6 months to a year, and that's when her borderline personality disorder decided to show itself. She has struggled with BPD and severe anxiety most her life, and I am no stranger to mental health issues with previous relationships and my mother, but this was my first experience with BPD. I am the most patient person I know, so I didn't think it'd be a big deal. She was unmedicated, and I didn't realize just how bad it could be. I had to walk on eggshells because it would go from 0 to 100 very quickly. Lots and lots of yelling. I do not yell and try to calm the situation, but would fail most the time. She would bash her head on the wall or harm herself in other ways and ended up in urgent care a few times. I tried to be supportive in those moments, but it's very awkward and hard for me to go in for a hug when I am feeling attacked. I tried very hard to remind myself she cannot help it, and it was the BPD and not her. I tried to not blame her for it or hold it against her. My patience wore thin over time, and eventually I would just not handle it well anymore, and during any moment of her freakouts, I would put on my gaming headset to tune out the noise and tell her to go take a couple minutes to try to wear off or chill out. But she would refuse and just keep screaming at me and rip my headset off my head, etc. I just got tired of dealing with it, honestly. I thought I could, but it started to make our relationship suck. It was still as great as it always was, except for when these situations would occur, which was maybe once every couple weeks. I gave her an ultimatum. We had discussed it previously, but she was not open to it. I wanted her to look into getting treated in a way. Whether it be some form of therapy or medication. She said it would turn her into a zombie, so she didn't want to try it. I told her that I can't do this forever and that it was wearing on my mental health, and I hated walking on eggshells, and I really hated the drama and stress, and that it's up to her, but if she isn't going to get it handled, I am out. I just wanted her to be able to control her emotions in a healthy way and have discussions rather than her screaming or getting violent whenever there was an issue. She didn't want to lose me, so she went for it. This is where I fucked up. She got on meds and suddenly all our issues went away. All of them. It was relationship utopia. She was able to manage stressful situations and her anxiety so much better. It was great. We no longer had any disputes we couldn't calmly talk out. No issues really came up that I can recall, but any disagreements whatsoever were no big deal. The meds completely destroyed her libido. This was the only issue. Years ago, I had a very bad porn addiction. It was terrible, and I always was ashamed of it. I collected videos like they were damn Pokemon cards. I would spend 5+ hours trying to find the perfect one. It was awful. With her losing her sex drive, I turned to porn in a big way and fell back into my addiction like an idiot. Not as hard as before, but still pretty bad where I didn't want sex anymore. I thought I had beat it for good. I was very ashamed. She was unaware of this, and I was too ashamed to tell her. We joked about how we don't have sex anymore, and it didn't affect a damn thing, and it didn't bother us whatsoever. And it didn't, seemingly. I figured it was a pretty good situation because she didn't have any sexual needs and I could take care of mine on my own. Which would be fine if I didn't have a bad mental addiction to porn. She was under the impression I was mostly just asexual and didn't need sex. This went on for a couple years. Eventually, the kissing slowed to a stop. We became roommates. Which we were totally okay with because we were bros. We have always spent tons of time together and never got tired of each other's company. Still don't. I was actually, in my own mind, very happy with how things were. Not every relationship needs to follow a societal expectation. It's about what works for you and your partner. I thought that's where we were. We still loved each other quite a lot, but we didn't express it outside of saying it occasionally, and me gifting her things, my love language anyway. We had stopped dating one another in the relationship, so we were complacent. She started smoking weed 24/7, and I had no issue with that. She enjoyed it and we could afford it. She was gaining weight from poor eating habits, and according to her meds. I also gained a lot of weight over the years we were together. We went from a pretty hot couple to a couple that looked like we had just given up on ourselves. We have pretty low self-esteem, and with no romance in the picture, we both feel pretty unwanted and gross. We don't really compliment each other, except when we try to look good, which is rare. We stopped dating each other and got too comfortable, you know? The feelings were very much still there for us, but we were just basically best friends living together that cared a lot about each other. She decided that she wanted to try getting off meds. Her main motivation was weight loss, but she won't admit that, and I surely wouldn't accuse her of that, and just smoke weed to calm her anxiety and see if she can manage stress. I knew with that would come a sex drive again. I told her I supported her in whatever she thinks is best for her. I also advised that if things turned to the way they were before, it would cause big issues. So, she got off the meds. I waited a handful of weeks to see if she was interested in sex again, because I know I would need to get off this addiction to porn, because I just couldn't get interested in sex with her or even get very hard anymore. This is where she fucked up. She came to me yesterday, addressing the elephant in the room, basically just saying we are just roommates and that she is worried about our future. She said she knew there was a problem when recently some guy stranger gave her attention and she liked it. She liked feeling wanted. I told her I understood and that I'm not mad at her for that. I decided to be honest with her and tell her what I had been hiding. I explained to her about the porn addiction I fell back into when she had no libido and that I was too ashamed to tell her. She trickle-truthed me about the getting attention thing. I was able to get out of her that on Monday night, some guy slid in her DMs and they ended up sexting. He sent a dick pic and she said she was so horny that she sent him nudes, and I don't know what transpired in the messages other than your typical sexting session, but I didn't want to know the details, honestly. I've been cheated on before with other women and saw messages with details and it scarred me. She said it didn't mean anything and that it just happened and just wanted to feel wanted and that she has been extremely horny. This was all news to me. I just wish she had come to me first to talk about it. She said she wasn't even into the guy and that she just used him. She said she felt guilty about it and was trying to figure out how to tell me. She held this in for 3 days and laughed on the couch next to me watching Good Mythical Morning, as if nothing was wrong. I hate that she trickle-truthed me as well, instead of just telling me. She did this before years ago when she was at a bar and some guy came on to her. She didn't tell me until later that he had tried putting his hand down her pants and tried to take advantage of her being drunk. I let that one pass because if she was being honest, that guy was at fault for assaulting her, and I know that can be hard to talk about. I plan on seeking therapy because I am fairly certain I have undiagnosed depression or something. I have had a lot of issues that point to that. As for us, I don't know what to do. I hold resentment for what she did, but I know that it would have never happened if I didn't lead her that way by making her feel unwanted. My trust is broken, partially. She likely has lost trust in me as well, as I had hid my addiction. I know it isn't a competition on who did the shittier thing, but her engaging with another person to actively cheat really turned my world upside down. I didn't think she would ever do that. I am not absolving her of any responsibility for what transpired, but I do take partial responsibility. Me hiding my porn addiction was also a terrible thing to do, and I am fully aware of that. I know we both fucked up in different ways, but both are very damaging, and we do not know how to move forward. We talked about being just roommates, us divorcing, us trying to work it out, etc. I didn't want to make any rash decisions because obviously a marriage is a big deal. You have a life built together. I gave her the option early on in the relationship to open it up, as I am open-minded and have been somewhat interested in the idea of being in an open relationship, but she never was interested. Now she is interested, as long as she can get dick, but doesn't want me to be with anyone else. So that won't work. I asked her if it'd be enough if I got better and we fixed the sexual aspect, and she thinks so. She has a very high libido when not medicated. She is always down. I am content with a couple times a week, but she is one of those that could do 4 to 5 times a day, everyday people. She is bi, so I did give her that option as well if she wanted to bring a woman in the bedroom, But she thinks sex with women is boring and just wants dick, so that's out of the question. I don't know how comfortable I am with her sleeping with guys yet, as I haven't experienced it, and things don't always go in reality as they do in your head. Anyway, sorry again for the long-winded post, but I wanted to make sure anyone who gave some advice would have as much information as possible to provide their best input possible. Is our marriage able to be saved? How do we go forward from here? I am cold turkey on the porn now and will not be partaking in any porn. I don't enjoy being addicted to it. I can't have a healthy relationship with it, and I hate that it had so much control over me. But I am good at cutting myself off cold turkey. I went years without it before, and I can do it again, and this time permanently. She says she would never do something like that again, but I do not know if I can trust that, and I am now in that mode of suspicious whenever she is using her phone at all, so that sucks. She is likely going to feel the same whenever I am on my PC downstairs, gaming. I am weighing all possibilities, so please guys, lay it on me. What should we do?
This is a lot of drama and bad times for just a 4-year relationship. Honestly, it sounds like the relationship has just made you both worse people. Worse in the sense of being less honest and less ethical. Worse in the sense that you are worse off than when you started dating. Relationships are supposed to build you up and improve your life, not lead to this unhealthy codependency. Your second paragraph talks about how you're so picky and you wouldn't settle for anyone. But your post says otherwise. You got into a relationship with a woman and immediately settled down despite the many red flags. She physically abused you, wouldn't take responsibility for her mental health, and wouldn't communicate with you on major issues until you gave her the ultimatum. You both enable each other's bad behavior. Your sex drives are incompatible. You're walking on eggshells. And I can almost guarantee that your depression is a direct result of this terrible marriage. If you were pickier, you would have recognized just how bad of a mistake this was and backed out a long time ago. You were so blinded by this supposed compatibility that you didn't even think to stop and take a step back. Look at the relationship in a broader perspective. I'm guessing now you're stuck in a sunk cost fallacy, where the thrill of the super short honeymoon period and the intensity of the relationship over the past 4 years has made you feel like you can't give up on it because you put so much time, effort, and resources into the relationship. Also, your wife's explanation of how she came to cheat on you, at least twice by the way, doesn't sound as though she feels guilty. She straight away suggested opening the relationship and seems to be so concentrated on the sexual side that she's forgotten the rest of it. You need to hit pause on any discussion involving other people. Look at how both of you were 4 years ago and how you are now. Then assess whether this relationship is worth keeping. Can I also add that she's a hypocrite, manipulative, and irresponsible? She wants to sleep with other people, but you can't? She's trickle-truthing you and trying to persuade you into something you're uncomfortable with. She has allowed her mental health to affect your well-being and also uses it to excuse her bad behavior. Unfortunately, I think it's time for you to start thinking about what you want the rest of your life to look like without making allowances for her. Can you reasonably do everything you want in your future while also putting 100% into this relationship? Because to me, it sounds like giving 100% is just barely keeping it afloat, and it doesn't leave time for a lot of other things in your life, like exercise, self-improvement, hobbies, friends. Reading your post, it doesn't seem like things are going to get any better. But the relationship could change. And eventually down the line, you'll have different problems, other than these ones. Just whatever happens, don't have any kids with this lady. I highly suggest that you just get a divorce and move on with your life. Get some therapy for your trauma and porn addiction. Eventually, you'll find the person that will bring out the best of you, not dragging you down. Good luck, OP. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my YouTube channel for you to watch absolutely free. So consider clicking that super thanks just below the video title, or you can use my PayPal in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.